It starts over nothing. A toy, a seat, who looked at who. And within seconds, your two kids are shrieking, someone's crying, and you're standing in the middle wondering how a normal afternoon turned into a battlefield. If sibling fighting is the soundtrack of your home, take a breath. You are not failing, and your kids are not broken. There's a real reason they fight, and once you understand it, there's a single phrase that can stop most squabbles in seconds. Let's get into it. First, the relief. Sibling conflict is completely normal. In fact, it's one of the most common things parents worry about, and one of the most misunderstood. Kids who live together, share space, share you, and are still learning how to handle big feelings are going to clash. It is not a sign that they hate each other, or that you've done something wrong. It's a sign that they're two developing humans under one roof. The goal was never zero fighting. The goal is teaching them how to handle it. So why do they really fight? It's almost never about the toy. The toy is just the spark. Underneath, kids fight for deeper reasons, and when you can see those reasons, the whole thing stops feeling like random chaos and starts making sense. Once it makes sense, you stop reacting and start responding. Let's look at the 3 biggest reasons your kids are really fighting, because the surface argument and the real cause are almost always 2 completely different things. Reason 1, they're competing for connection. To a child, your attention is the most valuable thing in the world, and they have a radar for who's getting more of it. A lot of sibling fighting is really a quiet contest for you. Notice when the squabbles spike. Often it's when you're busy, distracted, or stretched thin. They've learned, without knowing it, that conflict pulls you into the room. Negative attention still counts as attention. That's worth sitting with for a second. Reason 2, big feelings, small skills. Your kids feel everything at full volume: frustration, jealousy, disappointment, the burning injustice of a smaller cookie. But the part of their brain that manages those feelings is still under construction and will be for years. So when emotion floods in, they don't have the tools yet to pause, talk it out, or compromise. They reach for the only tools they have, which are grabbing, yelling, and sometimes hitting. It's not defiance, it's a skills gap. Reason 3, they are obsessed with fairness. Young children have a fierce, built-in sense of fair, and it is ruthless. Whose slice is bigger? Who went first? Who got the blue cup? To you, it's trivial. To them, fairness feels like safety and love measured out in cookies and turns. A huge amount of sibling fighting is really 2 kids each terrified they're getting less. When you understand that, the cookie war stops being silly and starts being something you can actually coach. Now, the mistake almost all of us make, with the best intentions. We rush in and become the referee. We demand to know who started it, we decide who's right, we hand down a verdict, and we separate the criminals. It feels like justice. It feels like parenting. But here's the problem. When you're the judge, your kids never learn to resolve anything themselves. They just learn to argue their case to you louder and faster than their sibling. And asking who started it, it almost always backfires. It turns one fight into 2 because now they're both racing to blame the other, and someone's about to feel falsely accused. You weren't there for the first 10 seconds, so you can't actually know. Worse, refereeing quietly teaches them that the way to win is to get the grown-up on your side. You become the prize they're fighting over. That's the opposite of what you want. So here's the shift. Stop being the referee and start being the coach. A referee decides who wins. A coach teaches the players how to handle the game themselves, so eventually they don't need you on the field at all. Your job in a sibling fight isn't to deliver a verdict. It's to stay calm, keep everyone safe, and guide them towards solving it together. It feels slower at first. It is so much faster in the long run. And that brings us to the phrase, the one that diffuses most squabbles in seconds, because it does 3 things at once. It stays neutral, it names what's really going on, and it hands the problem back to them. Instead of jumping in as judge, you walk over calmly, get down to their level, and you say this: "You two seem to really want the same thing. I bet you can find a way to share it." That's it. Let's break down why it works. First, it stays completely neutral. You're not picking a side, so neither child has to defend themselves or fight harder for your favor. The contest for you is instantly over. Second, it names the real issue. You two really want the same thing. That tiny bit of understanding makes them feel seen, and a child who feels understood calms down faster than one who feels accused. You've lowered the temperature before you've solved anything. Third, and most powerful, it hands the problem back to them. I bet you can find a way to share it. You've just expressed confidence that they're capable of solving this, and kids tend to rise to the expectations we set. Instead of waiting for your verdict, their little brains switch from fighting mode to problem-solving mode. You're not abandoning them, you're trusting them, with you right there as backup. That trust is where the real growth happens. Now, how you say it matters as much as the words. Say it calmly, warmly, almost like you're curious, not annoyed. If you deliver it through gritted teeth, they'll hear the irritation, not the invitation. Take one breath before you speak. Your calm is contagious, and so is your stress. You are the thermostat in the room, not the thermometer. When you stay regulated, you give their flooded little nervous systems something steady to borrow from. That single breath changes everything. Let's turn this into a simple routine you can actually use in the heat of the moment. Step 1. Pause before you intervene. Unless someone's in danger, give it a few seconds. You'll be amazed how often kids start working it out on their own the instant they realize you're not swooping in to rescue or referee. Your immediate involvement can actually prolong the fight. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is breathe and wait. Step 2. Narrate, don't judge. If you do step in, describe what you see without taking sides. You both want the truck. You're both feeling really frustrated right now. This is sportscasting, not refereeing. It shows them you understand. It puts words to feelings they can't yet name, and it keeps you perfectly neutral. Naming the emotion out loud genuinely helps calm the brain. You're being a mirror, not a judge, and that mirror helps them see the situation clearly. Step 3. Coach the problem solving. After your phrase, give them a moment, then gently guide if they're stuck. What could be fair here? Could you take turns, set a timer, or play together? Offer options, but let them choose. Every time they solve a conflict with your support instead of your verdict, they're building the exact skills they'll use for the rest of their lives, in friendships, in marriages, at work. You're not just ending a fight, you're raising a capable adult. Now, an important exception. This coaching approach is for the everyday squabbles, the turf wars, and turn-taking battles. If a fight becomes physical, dangerous, or one child is being genuinely hurt or bullied, you step in firmly and immediately. Safety always comes first, no debate. Calm coaching is your default for the ordinary stuff, but you are still the parent, and protecting your children is never up for negotiation. Know the difference, and trust your gut when a situation crosses that line. Here's the part that requires patience. This is a skill you're teaching, which means it takes repetition. The first time you use the phrase, your kids might just blink at you or keep squabbling. That's normal. You're rewiring a pattern, and patterns change slowly. But each time you coach instead of referee, you're laying down a new track. Over weeks and months, you'll notice the fights getting shorter, and one magical day, you'll overhear them solving one entirely on their own. So remember this, your kids don't fight because they're bad or because you're failing. They fight because they're competing for your love. They have big feelings and small skills, and they desperately want things to be fair. You don't have to be their judge, you get to be their coach. Stay calm, name what's real, and hand them the phrase. You two seem to really want the same thing. I bet you can find a way to share it. If this gave you a little more calm and a little more hope, I've written the full guide, with more phrases and real examples, over on the blog. The link is in the description. And if you want gentle, realistic parenting help that meets you where you actually are, no guilt and no perfection required, subscribe and come along. You're doing so much better than you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.